Hey guys, it's Matt for Antihero magazine, and I'm joined today by Teemu from Wintersun. How's it going, man?
Good, really good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, dude. You are playing the Sophie Lancaster stage tonight, straight after Megadeth on the main stage.
Right.
How are you feeling, man? You excited? You nervous?
Yes, really excited. Not so nervous. It's our first time here. Second time here at Bloodstock, and last time we were here, everything worked really well. Like all the technical stuff, everything was arranged perfect. So really, just hoping to enjoy the festival.
And you're known for making very, very progressive, very long, very folky death metal tracks. So after the all-out thrash of Megadeth, how do you think you're going to do? How do you think the fans are going to like it?
Yeah, there's definitely a different style compared to them. I hope some Megadeth fans will be interested to come to see us as well, and hopefully a lot of Wintersun fans seeing them there as well.
And you've just finished a very successful crowdfunding campaign. I think the aim was €150,000.
Yeah.
And you made, was it 460,000 or something like that? So I've got to ask, what's the money going towards? How are you going to spend that money?
We are planning to build our own studio facility, kind of a band headquarters, so we'll be able to record all the future albums on our own, not having to rent a third-party studio or use outside facilities. Also rehearsal spaces. At the moment, we have to always rent a space when we do rehearsals before shows. So I think in the long run, it's gonna save us a lot of money and time having our own space and being able to do everything with our own schedule, and whenever the inspiration strikes, then you can walk into the recording room and record your parts, and not first do your demos at home and then go to the studio and spend a lot of time in the studio having the taximeter running. But now that's been the plan, having our own studio built. The money that we made in the first crowdfunding seemed like of course big amount of money, and we're really grateful that we got so many fans participating in there. But there's big cuts taken by Finnish government for the taxes and all that. So originally the plan was to do 3 separate crowdfundings with the new album on each of them. Okay. And now this crowdfunding succeeding so well, we're thinking that maybe we can pull it off already with 2 crowdfundings. So now the plan is to tour pretty much until the end of the next year. We're trying to do as many shows as possible, and then after that really start concentrating on the second crowdfunding and build another big package, really great content for the fans to again get a lot of people hopefully joining us, and then hopefully with 2 crowdfundings we can already manage to start building the studio.
And sorry mate, I'm just saying, I totally lost track of what I was going to go there. But a lot of bands, when they crowdfund, they're independent bands, like they're unsigned, they don't have a label.
Sure.
You guys already have a label in the form of Nuclear Blast.
Yes.
So how did Nuclear Blast react to the crowdfunding? Were they supportive or were they a bit unsure?
Well, first they, of course, this was something that, like you said, hasn't been done really before. Usually bands that do crowdfundings are independent, they don't have label support. We had label support, but of course the kind of money that we needed for the studio, of course label couldn't load us that big sum of money. So it took quite a few months of negotiations really to kind of make Nuclear Blast understand that this is going to be a win-win situation. It's going to be a lot of good press for Nuclear Blast as well, and we're going to get a lot of attention and a lot of kind of free promo for the physical versions as well. So in the end we get to this conclusion that okay, we'll be able to make the crowdfunding without Nuclear Blast getting their cut of the crowdfunding, but then we gave them a little bit more rights for the physical versions of the album. So Nuclear Blast handles all the physical versions, and they do also digital, but we do also digital by ourselves on the side. And both do merchandise as well. We have our own merchandise, and Nuclear Blast has a couple merchandise items for them as well.
And you're obviously hot off your new album, The Forest Seasons. We'll talk about that in a moment, but once you get your studio and you're all set up, what a lot of the fans are going to want is Time 2. People have always been chatting about Time 2, when's it going to come? So once you're in the studio, is that the top priority, getting Time 2 out and done?
Yes, for sure. That's once the studio is built, then for sure getting the Time 2 done. And for a lot of parts, Time 2 is already recorded. So really,
okay.
it's really the final production that needs to be done in a, in a facility that the album really deserves.
Okay. And so when the first Time record came out, I think it was 2012, Time 1?
Exactly.
And so why didn't you just record all of it, like all of Time in one stint? Why do you have to divide it into two parts, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. Well, the whole recording process was much longer than we had anticipated. We started already in 2006 recording the drums and the rhythmic guitars and basses and stuff like that, and then Jari started doing the orchestrations, but meanwhile he was kind of learning how to do that, and he wanted to do it himself. And at that point the computers weren't really what they are today. So that took a lot of kind of trial and error, and computers crashing, not enough CPU to do the stuff that he had in mind, the vision. And then when it was 5 years passed by, and then around 2010, 2011, Nuclear Blast actually came out with this suggestion that maybe split the album into two, because it seems like such a big project to complete. So how about do Time 1 and Time 2? And if we weren't first kind of into that so much, but then we started thinking about it. Yeah, maybe it makes sense. It's still good amount of music for both parts, and then that's at least we can get the album out a little bit sooner, the first one, and then we can get it on the road and get the ball rolling, and then we can start focusing on completing the Time 2 as well. But then in the end, still getting the Time 1 out was a bit of a compromise. Jari wasn't able to make the production and the mixing that he had envisioned in the first place, so that was really frustrating for him. And then we were touring, and then he was trying to continue with Time 2, and then after a while he got a kind of a burnout and got really dissatisfied with the progress that he was making with the production of Time 2. So then he kind of decided that okay, no more compromise. He don't want to compromise the Time 2 same way as he felt he compromised Time 1. So he had that studio idea in the back of his mind already for a long time. He's been always doing the music himself, starting with the 4-track recorder from in his teens, and then moving into 8-track recorder, and then the one with the kind of CD you put in, and then you record 16 tracks, and then you moved on the computers and so forth. And he's been doing this all in his own little apartment, and then with the Time albums, the kind of limit came there, that okay, this kind of big albums you can't do in a small apartment. You need a good facility, and then if you're gonna rent a third-party studio, that's gonna cost a heck of a lot of money. So rather save there and then try to build your own studio. So that's then how the idea of the crowdfunding kind of started, also to build up. And then we felt like okay, we need to put the Time 2 aside for a while and do something else, some easier album that we can really do with the resources at the moment that we have. And then that's how the Forest Seasons album started to kind of come about.
So when was that switching gears from focusing on Time 2 to okay, we're going to put that on the shelf and now we're going to focus on Forest Seasons? When was that roughly? I
think that was like 2014, 15, between that time, because 2014, let me see, 2012, 13 we were touring a lot, and then 14 we took some time off to kind of try to focus on completing Time 2. Then 15 we started doing some shows again. We did one tour in Europe and did some summer festivals. So I think it was before the 2015 shows that there was already the ideas. The Forest That Weeps was actually completed in 2015. That was the first song of the Forest Seasons album, and back then it was not really like that. The ideas of the Forest Seasons album was there. It was just one song that we had thought about, that okay, we're going to use this in part of the content for the Forest package, in the crowdfunding. But then Jari got really inspired after that to complete the other songs, and they came actually with the inspiration. He was able to make the songs really fast, so between 2014 2016 that's when the songs were made, and then I think everything was completed already, I think around the end of 2016, and then there was a lot of preparations and work to be done with how to represent it with the crowdfunding idea.
And there are 4 songs on the record, each of them really long. I think the shortest one's like 10 minutes long or something ridiculous.
12 minutes.
12 minutes long, wow, okay. How exhausting was that as a musician, recording that?
Well, of course, recording modern days, you can record one riff at a time, and you
Yeah,
don't
of course.
have to do the whole thing. But live, it's a different game. Of course, you have to be fairly concentrated to remember all the parts. It might seem like there's I don't know. Some people have told me, or I've heard some comments that it's kind of simple stuff. But when you look into the layers, there's actually a lot of small things happening. A lot of things to remember.
You guys seem to love doing that. I know Time was the same.
Right. And maybe this album is a little bit more simple than Time, for sure, production-wise and orchestrations and everything. But Jari is still kind of a master of arranging things. When you have a riff, he likes to not repeat it 4 times the same, but every round is a little bit the same.
Yeah.
For example, in Awaken from the Dark Slumber, when the verse comes in and when the vocals start there's a guitar riff that is, I think that's 32 bars, and each bar is a little bit different. So
wow, okay.
That was a lot of brain work to memorize it and get it in the muscle memory.
And every song on the album is based off a different season of the year, obviously. Why did you want to go with that approach? Why did you want that to be, I guess, the anchor of the album?
Right. Well, I think maybe in the back of the mind, Jari has had this bit of an influence from Vivaldi's Four Seasons, the classical piece. He's been always a fan of that, and then he had thought that it would be cool to make some kind of seasons album at some point. And then, like I said, first the Forest That Weeps came out, the what ended up being the summer song. It was not first thought to be a summer song, but then Jari realized that this has kind of a summer vibe to it, and then some new inspiration started to come, and then it was similar type of ideas, but still a bit different in a ways. There was some riffs were kind of like darker, and some were more energetic. So then Jari started thinking, okay, maybe like these riffs could be this energetic song, this could be the kind of darker song, and this is kind of the kind of melancholic, lonely feel. So this would kind of maybe fit. So the energetic one is the spring, and then the lonely melancholic one could be the winter song, and then the dark one could be the autumn song. So then it kind of started making sense, and then then he put two together, the Vivaldi inspiration and then kind of that feel of those songs that he had at the time. It didn't start like that. He was like, okay, I'm gonna make summer, I'm gonna make winter. It was just riffs for him.
It's just the way it turned out.
Right.
Yeah.
It turned out like that.
I'm gonna end it there. Thank you so much for your time
Sure.
today, man.